this is my Kayla, and this is our story. And y'all forgive me if I start tearing up or anything. Just kind of feel like you're in my home, because I invite people into my home all the time so that I can share with them, because I have many parents who call me on a weekly basis and they say, Gail, I heard that something helped your daughter and I want to know what's going on. And in fact, I was just on the phone with another parent yesterday, and she couldn't come today because there are so many children who have these problems, and it just breaks my heart. And if I can help one child not go through it, what we've been through for 9 years of her life, I have done what God wants me to do. I'm going to tell you. So this is my Kayla at age 4. This is 1999. She went through K-4 program at the Methodist Church in Starkville, Mississippi. And at the end of that, her teacher came to me and said, Gail, she's not ready for kindergarten. And I went, well, why not? You know, I had no idea. I just thought, you know, she's a regular 4-year-old. Oh, okay. I may not be loud enough. That's okay. You know, I just thought that, you know, she was just like any other 4-year-old. Maybe they didn't know all their sounds or anything. I knew something, you know, that she was struggling with some sounds, and I knew something may not be quite right, but I thought, you know, she's just 4, so we're not going to worry about it. Well, I put her through another K-4 program at Starkville Christian School. This was in a different place, so she wouldn't know that I held her back. And so, but during that K-4 year, this was more a structured program, so it was a real K-4 program, and it became very evident that something was not right. She could not remember her sounds, and I would have letters taped all over the room and all in the house trying to help her remember what those letters were, and her memory was not very good. So I was real concerned, and I had asked her teacher about it, and she said, well, she's really young, let's don't do anything. I said, okay. I went ahead and moved her K-5, but she really was not progressing. And if any of you are familiar with the ABECA program, which is a school curriculum, okay, ABECA is wonderful, but if you get left behind, you cannot catch up, as many people know. Well, the problem was Kayla could not do the phonics. And we tried, and we worked, and she just could not do it. So the teacher said, well, I don't really believe in putting children on medicine or having them tested. So she said, let's just let her go on to 1st grade. So I said, okay, well, we'll just do 1st grade, but I was real worried about her. Well, by the end of 1st grade, oh, it was awful. It was a nightmare. And I would have to go up to the school, and she was not finishing work. It was just awful. So, you know, here was my now 6-year-old, because she had almost 7, because I held her back, and we were in bad shape. So she could not see from the back of the room and could not copy from the board, and she was fitted with glasses, and we still could not copy correctly. Well, we thought, you know, a regular eye doctor would help us fix that, but we still were not able to do that, okay? While she was sounding out words, she would miss letters and not hear the sounds that she was saying. I'd say, okay, Kayla, this is a C, cup, and she'd see it, but yet she just, for some reason, it didn't process. She would make up a letter sound. It was really, really odd. She could not focus on a task. She would sit at her desk for long periods of time, unable to complete her seat work. Her teacher called me in one day, and she said, Gail, she had, you know, some days Kayla can do the work, and then some days she'll just sit there. And she called me, and she said, something's not right today. And I said, well, I will fix this. You know, because I thought that it was a disobedience problem. So here I go up there, and of course Mother gets involved, and she gets finished. And so I thought, well, there's a disobedient problem here. You know, we've got to get this motivation changed. So I began at that point to be really hard on her. She could not remember directions. If directions were read to her, she may remember one thing, and then she may look at you and get upset, get in an upset way and ask you, what did you tell her to do again? And I have seen this look of distress in my daughter for a long time. And you have to remember now, this is a mother who thinks this is a disobeying problem, okay? So she has a panic attack because she knows what Mom's going to do, because she has not been listening to me or obeying me, okay? And this is what happens with parents of children like this. And I'm admitting to you that I was not the best parent because I didn't understand what I was dealing with, okay? When Kayla read to me, she would read through all the punctuation. It's like it wasn't even there. We would put things under the lines and cover up everything but that one line, and she still would read right all the way through it. She would skip lines even though she had her finger on the word. It was like we were all over the place. She had no understanding of what she was reading, whether it was a story or directions, and she also struggled with understanding verbal instructions that the teacher gave her, and also verbal instructions that I gave her. I mean, I could tell her to do something, and then it was just like, it was gone. She was unable to complete tasks in order and would become easily overwhelmed by a page of problems. She would have a panic attack over just one page torn out of a booklet, in school that they would give her and put in front of her. And she would just sit there and not work any problems. She would become easily frustrated and very nervous, very, very nervous. And then she'd just shut down for the rest of the day. She was a very fearful child. She hid behind me most of the time when we were around adults, okay? Or anytime anybody approached her. I mean, she lived literally right behind me right here, most of when she was little. She would walk right into things on the floor that she never saw. She appeared to be very clumsy, and it was as if she never looked down. And I would always say, Kayla, look down at the floor, honey. There's a big chair there that you just fell over, And it was like I never could. I would take her eyes and I'd say, look down at the floor, and you need to clean your room. And look, oh, there's something on the floor. So I was constantly pointing her down from up here. It was like her eyes were all up here. We would try to help her learn spelling words for the week, and she would appear to know them right after we got through going over them. But later, they were gone. By the end of her first grade year, we had her evaluated with a licensed psychologist. He was in Starkville. Wonderful man. She was diagnosed as ADD, ADHD, and then we took her to the W in Columbus, and they diagnosed her with an auditory processing disorder, okay? She was put on Adderall in first grade, and she received therapy from a speech pathologist towards the end of first grade. And Adderall helped to slow her mind down, but it did not help her to learn. So without the medication, we couldn't function in a school setting, okay? But she continued to fall further and further behind. So we could tell that the Adderall was not working, but she couldn't function in school without it. So we stayed on the medication. Okay, just to give you an idea of what the Adderall did to Kayla, and this is, a lot of parents are really going through a hard time about this because I know I did. I've come to find out from her doctor during that time that the Adderall was causing Kayla to have severe nightmares, fearfully bad thoughts. We didn't know that for 4 years, and she lived in fear. She would not stay in her bed by herself. We would discipline her, send her back up. We thought it was a behavior issue. Come to find out, after 4 years, we found out it was the Adderall. It was a side effect. And the doctor did not inform us that that was probably what was going on until we changed doctors, and then we changed medication. So there's a lot of side effects to these medicines that a lot of parents don't catch, and the kids can't tell them because they don't know that that's what's going on. So we changed her medication, and that was probably about the 3rd grade. And this medication was working. I say working, there were no side effects. She still was struggling to learn. Now, by 4th grade, we were really struggling. We started paying a speech pathologist. She was one of the best that we found in Mississippi. We were personally paying her to do private, teaching for Kayla at $80 an hour. She had worked with Kayla using a system where they actually teach children how to read that can't hear. So she was treating Kayla as if she was deaf, and that's how she was trying to teach her to read. Because by 4th grade, if you can believe it, we still could not read. And I really had this feeling like, there's just something not quite right. And if you're a mother, you know when something's not quite right with your kid. You know there's something you can't put your finger on, and that's the way that I felt. So by the end of 4th grade, her reading level was still 2.5 to 3 years behind. She was really struggling in that, and her self-esteem was very low. Okay, by this point, she was still on her meds, but we had not put her on antidepressants. But as you'll see, we headed that direction. She started shutting down emotionally and giving up. So at that point, Ed and I talked about it, and I decided to leave my job at the bank. I had been there 16 years, and I was coming home. Because I told him I could do what we were paying this lady $80 an hour to do, plus I could let her come home and get away from the pressure. Okay? So I left everything, headed home, and I thought, surely, I'm going to homeschool this child, and we're going to be okay. I wish I could tell you that after homeschooling for 40 years, she was okay. But let me begin by telling you, when I brought her home, this is what I found, okay? She had no understanding of math concepts, and this is to the degree that I want you to help you to understand. You could ask my child, what is 1 plus 1? Literally, only 1 plus 1, and she would tell you 2. And I say, and her dad constantly say, now Kayla, what does it mean when you add 1 to something? And she was like, I don't know. I said, well, you know, if you're on a ladder and you step up 1 step, what does that mean? Are you going up 1? And this is in 4th grade now. This is 4th grade. And she could not tell you. She would look at her daddy and cry and say, I don't know. It was that severe. While she was reading, she would skip lines, skip words, skip letters. And I spent 2 years reading 2 to 3 hours a day to her, because we've all heard that if you read to your child, then it expands their reading, expands their knowledge. And yes, it is wonderful, but it did not help with her. She could not put her thoughts on paper. Oh, there were many days homeschooling. I say, Kayla, let's write 1 sentence. 1 sentence, okay? I would give her a topic, or I'd say, write a sentence about a cat, a dog, anything. And she would sit there for hours in tears. It was just awful. She could not remember instructions. And of course, we knew that from the beginning. It never changed. She would begin crying because she was afraid she was going to get it wrong, because Mom was putting a lot of pressure on her by this time, saying, you know, you're 4th grade. We have got to progress somehow, okay? Her frustration level was getting very high. Her short-term memory was not there, and eventually we had to put her on antidepressants because her frustration level got dangerous. We started counseling with a Christian counselor. At this point, she still had no concept of time. I don't know if it's fathomable, but a 4th grader who cannot tell time has no understanding of what time it is of the day, whether it's morning, whether it's afternoon, whether it's, you know, if you tell her, we're going to go to church later this evening, she has no concept. Her day does not revolve around time. It revolves around Mother saying, go do this and go do this, and that was the only way she could function. She was oblivious to her surroundings. If you have a child, if anyone has had children, you understand that the normal process of a child learning is because they watch you. You can tell them things all day long, but they copy you. They, from tying their shoe to how you rub your nose, to how you look at things, to how everything. It's a normal process. I saw no normal processes with her. It really became evident to me after I had my 2nd child, because she does not struggle in this way. And there are times I've never had to really teach her one-on-one how to tie her shoe or do many things, because she watched me. And all of a sudden she's like, oh, Mama, tie her shoe. You know, because that's the normal process of learning.